as violence escalated there, he left to finish his studies in Mexico City.
So what was your main fear?
Getting shot. Or getting shot, getting killed. I didn't really go there to get shot or anything. So it was not for me.
Entire families have left behind homes and jobs in areas stricken by violence. 5,000 businesses have also relocated to Mexico City, seeking safety.
No
one would have thought 10 years ago that Mexico City would end up being one of the safest cities in the country. It's because all the branches of the government are here and all the security forces are here. That means the city is much more protected.
However, for over a year, drug cartels have been fighting turf wars as close as 2 hours away from the heart of the capital.
Many people may think that Mexico City has become a safe haven, but drug-related incidents are emerging here as well. In January, 9 people were gunned down in just one incident.
Only 40 minutes away from Mexico's historic center in Nezahualcóyotl, a shootout between drug traffickers left many worried that Mexico City might become the next battleground for drug traffickers. The city, though, is closely monitored. 11,000 cameras in key avenues, parks, official buildings, and in buses allow security forces to keep a close watch on crime. Mexico City's Attorney General Miguel Ángel Mancera says the capital is better protected than other cities because all the security forces are operating under one single command force.
70,000 police are operating in one direction, under one policy, communicate. There's coordination between the police, the Attorney General in joint operations.
Despite these measures, authorities acknowledge that in a big city there will be violent incidents. But authorities are concerned enough about the creeping drug war, they decided the time has come to bring in the military to patrol some neighborhoods on the outskirts of the capital. Mariana Sanchez, Al Jazeera, Mexico City.
A U.S. government investigation has found no evidence to suggest that electronic flaws caused safety problems in Toyota's vehicles. The Transportation Department made its announcement hours after the Japanese company reported its profits had dropped 39% in the quarter ending in December last year. Toyota recalled more than 12 million vehicles since autumn of 2009 to fix sticking accelerator pedals and other safety issues. Explosions triggered a fire at a petrochemical plant in the state of Texas. Flames shot 100 feet in the air. Smoke could be seen from the city of Houston, about 50 kilometers away. Officials, they say there have been no reports of any injuries. The plant produces a variety of chemicals from natural gas, such as propane and butane. The U.S. House of Representatives is expected to vote shortly to temporarily extend sections of the controversial Patriot Act. The law was signed by President Bush in the aftermath of the September 11th attacks. Supporters say the law is essential to combating terrorism. Civil liberties groups say it goes too far in the name of national security. John Terrett reports.
The House version is expected to green-light an extension of key provisions within the Patriot Act till the end of this year.
The Patriot Act works. It has proved effective in preventing terrorist attacks and protecting Americans. To let these provisions expire would leave every American less safe.
The terrorist threat has not subsided and will not expire, and neither should our national security laws.
The House expected to signal approval for the security agencies to go on accessing without court approval the business, financial, phone and email records of anyone suspected of links with a terrorist group. Foreign individuals and entities are the main target, but the Act can affect the privacy of all Americans. The so-called lone wolves who operate outside known terror organizations are also targeted.
It is now my honor to sign into law the USA Patriot Act of 2001.
The Patriot Act has traditionally been criticized by liberals and libertarians who fear its powers rob Americans of rights guaranteed them under the U.S. Constitution.
What's happening to our country? Why are we giving up our basic liberties? We need to take a stand here, and this is as good a day as any to take a stand.
I think at this time we should really question why we're extending this. We're extending the three worst parts. Why were these sunsetted? Because people had concern about them.
But some Republicans are also expressing second thoughts on the grounds the Patriot Act is too invasive and represents big government, to which they're opposed. Time is running out to extend these three key provisions of the Patriot Act. They sunset or cease to become law at the end of the month. The issue has yet to come up in the Senate, where it's known there are at least two proposals on the table to extend the Act to the end of 2013, something the White House says it's in favor of, a position that's drawn the ire of many civil liberties groups. John Terrett, Al Jazeera, Washington.
The former U.S. Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld says he offered to resign after pictures emerged of U.S. guards abusing prisoners at the Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq. Rumsfeld maintains the abuse was the work of a few prison guards. That's in spite of a 2008 congressional report that found it was Rumsfeld's authorization of aggressive techniques that contributed to detainee abuse in Iraq, Afghanistan and Guantanamo Bay. Camille El-Hassani has more.
It would turn out to be a prophetic moment in the career of Donald Rumsfeld. In 1983, he was President Ronald Reagan's envoy, sent to Baghdad to meet with Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein to promote better relations between the two countries. In 2003, as George Bush's Secretary of Defense, Rumsfeld would become one of the key figures pressing for regime change in Iraq. The Bush administration implicated Iraq in the 9/11 attacks and said war was justified because Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. In his new memoir titled Known and Unknown, Rumsfeld admits that the intelligence on WMD was wrong, but still defends the war.
We believe the intelligence was correct. It turns out that it was not completely correct.
Along with the book, Rumsfeld has launched a website containing 2,000 documents from his long career meant to prove his case.
I wanted to avoid a war, and so did the president.
The 78-year-old Rumsfeld spent much of his career in public service. He was known for his famously combative and colorful style.
There are known knowns. There are things we know we know. We also know there are known unknowns. That is to say, we know there are some things we do not know.
But the neoconservative ideology embraced by Rumsfeld of exporting democracy and nation building didn't include a plan to deal with mass looting in Baghdad after the regime was toppled, or the insurgency that nearly led to civil war. Eventually, with the war effort going badly, Rumsfeld stepped down after 6 years in office. Of his colleagues in Bush's cabinet, Rumsfeld doesn't hold back the criticism, particularly of former Secretary of State Colin Powell, who pleaded the case for war to the United Nations in 2003. Later, Powell said the speech was a blot on his record.
The idea that he was lying or duped is nonsense. He believed it.
Rumsfeld acknowledges no major mistakes, except that the U.S. would have been better off if he'd quit in 2004 after the Abu Ghraib prison scandal. But he does concede that one of the things that's now a known is that more troops were needed in Iraq. Camille El-Hassani, Al Jazeera, Washington.
And that's all from Washington. Let's return to Doreen in Doha.
Thank you, Shihab. Well, Al Jazeera has obtained exclusive funeral footage of an Afghan detainee who died in U.S. custody at Guantanamo Bay. Awal Gul was held for nearly 9 years over alleged links to the Taliban and al-Qaeda. And according to the U.S. military, his death last week was caused by, quote, apparent natural causes. Zaina Khudr reports from Kabul.
It was a funeral for a controversial man who died under controversial circumstances. It was also Awal Gul's homecoming after 9 years at Guantanamo prison, where he died last week. According to the U.S. military, he was a Taliban commander with ties to Osama bin Laden. He was never formally charged, and his lawyer long argued that Gul quit the Taliban movement before the 9/11 attacks.
Awal didn't have any property. He was a jihadi commander who fought against the Soviets. He was not a traitor. He's now a martyr.
In his hometown of Jalalabad in eastern Afghanistan, outrage over what they called his unjust detention and demise. Death to America and long live the Taliban, they chanted. The Guantanamo Detention Center, as well as other U.S.-run prisons, have been a major source of resentment towards the coalition forces in Afghanistan.
Resentment that the Taliban exploits. A statement released by the Taliban's Tora Borasel describes Awal Gul as a hero, a martyr, and a jihadi commander. They have also vowed to take revenge against what they called the Crusaders.
His family is also demanding an investigation. The U.S. military says Gul collapsed and died of apparent natural causes after exercising on a machine. Relatives dispute that claim and insist his death was not due to natural causes. While Washington admits it is working hard to win the hearts and minds of ordinary Afghans, this latest incident does not appear to help America's cause, leaving an ever-watchful Taliban to seize the moment. Zana Khudr, Al Jazeera, Kabul.
Thai and Cambodian troops remain on high alert along a disputed border area. 4 days of fighting near an ancient temple has forced residents on both sides to